Welcome back. You know what it is. It's me, the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios, and it's Security Happy Hour. And I promise I got a hell of a show planned for you today. I will give you fair warning, though. I got to take it a little easy on the beer. I got another podcast to do after this. I'll be a guest on Pedals of Support. So that'll be a fun show. But otherwise, look, I love you all. Hang with us. We'll be back here in just a second. And we're back. That's right. It is never that long. It's never that. Come on, 10 seconds. If you can't hang for 10 seconds, we got issues. Anywho, look, with me this evening, I have Nicole Hogan. And we got a lot to talk about, mainly because she likes to, not show me any social media. So all I have is LinkedIn to go off of. She's killing me. But always, hey, before we get started, make sure you share this stream. Let people know about it. We're going to be here. We're going to be talking for at least an hour, and it's going to be amazing. So make sure you do that. Now, saying that, Nicole, back to you. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm pretty good. I'm
Just
a
pretty
night
good.
person, so this is like 6 a.m. for me. I only slept like 2 hours.
That's crazy. So you work at night?
Yeah. I like
Been
it
there?
better because the kids are sleeping and they don't really know I'm gone. So it's great. But when I'm off, I want to go to sleep and they're like wired.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Actually, my time in the Army, there was, when I was at Fort Bragg, I got put on night shift. And I was working, it was like 6 to 6. I was working 12s. And I'd get off and sleep for like 3 or 4 hours and then be right back up, do my workout, get a shower, and go about my day. My wife would be like, seriously, you're not going to sleep? I'm like, I did. I'll be back up at like 11 o'clock. Like, seriously. Once you got work, like, yeah, it ain't until tonight. It'll be all right.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, definitely. So I get it. And thankfully, I mean, working from home, my kids are in school half the time. The only time it's rough is during the summer. But my wife usually takes them out to like amusement parks and blows my money on a bunch of other stuff. So,
So I'm the crazy person that goes with to those things. So like, even though I'm exhausted, I'm still like, we're going to go and I'm going to try to pass out in the car. And my husband's going to talk my ear off. So it's not like I'm going to get to actually sleep. So.
Yeah. My kids and my wife get mad at me because like, there's certain amusement parks I love, but I hate spinny rides. And there's one by us that's like all it is. It's just spinny rides. And it's like geared towards like younger kids. And I go there and I try to be happy. I get maybe an hour in and then I'm absolutely miserable. So yeah, she gets a little aggravated about that. I can't blame her, but it's true. It happens.
Like between 4 and 6, that's when I'm like completely dead. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. So, but we got an awesome show planned. So I got to ask Nicole, because you're like brandy new to cyber. Like you just got your first like full-time job last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was 4 months ago. So it's exciting. But I also did an internship over the summer, so I did have that under my belt too.
That's awesome, though. So did you get that internship through college, or how did you end up landing that? Like, what'd you do?
I just applied. I applied to everything. It was actually super random. So it was with the Shed Aquarium, and I didn't think I was gonna get it because I didn't hear anything for like weeks. And then they're like, "All right, we're setting up the interview," and it like went super fast after the long waiting period. So it was super great. It was like, I literally accepted the full-time job on my very last day. So it worked out really well. I was exhausted.
I believe it. Yeah. Internships are hard to come by, though. Well, I say that, but I'm seeing more and more people are getting internships, which is good. And I'm happy to see it. but I think it's like a long time coming. Like this is
Yeah.
something that should have been implemented probably 5 years ago, if not longer. And I'm
Yeah.
just now seeing people being able to apply for them and not have to go through college to get them.
Yeah. It's really great because it's like it helped me see a lot. The Shed Aquarium really allows you to see a lot of like things you normally wouldn't see at bigger companies. Like you get to go into the rooms you're not supposed to be in, or you wouldn't be normally allowed to go in. Like you get to meet with like the president, you get to meet with like the CFO, you get to actually talk to them and see how they work and what they're interested in, and like it really gives you that firsthand what's important to you. Like how can I change your opinion on things, or do I need to change your opinion on things? Um, I think like it's very important for them to have like cybersecurity, so they're very like open to having you learn as much as possible too.
Yeah, that's awesome though. It's great that they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We do have some people here. Let's see. We've got, of course, I've got like the usuals: Carrie, James, Griffin, Infosec. My buddies here. And then we got some new people in the chat as well. And actually, we got William Bailey's here as always. So we got Applied Consistency. They're here. They say fellow night owl here, Nicole. Um, so they're right there with you. And then we got Ella Saison. I'm gonna butcher that. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. She says hi. Um, but yeah. So we got people in chat. Please make sure you share this stream also, like I said, and like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. So that was your first kind of feel for it. Now, did that internship kind of help you figure out what you wanted to do in cybersecurity? Like, did it give you that overview of like, okay, this is what like a blue team and the different blue team positions are. This is the red team and the red team positions. Or was it just, hey, you're hired for this role. We're gonna let you talk to all these people and like actually get to meet them, but this is kind of where you're at.
So it wasn't necessarily as big as you would expect. I didn't get to see like all the different like areas and things. It was more so my first project was to update like a lot of computers. That
Cash
grew.
management. That's what I'm talking about.
I think there was like 300, and we had to go figure out exactly where they were, who had it, like why it wasn't updated, and we had to go in and physically explain to them like you need to do this more often. It gave me that firsthand experience of who the threats are, because you know the users are normally the first one. So I got to actually see like what they do and like why they're dangerous, and I learned a lot. It literally lets you see like why things happen and you know what people do with their stuff. Um, so I think that really helped me. I like to educate users. I work in technical support too, so I like getting to explain to them what to do to keep themselves safe and you know just the basic stuff that a lot of people don't usually think about.
And I love that. Because here's the thing. Everybody says the users are the weakest link.
Yep.
I'd love to say yes, but I blame it on us. I blame it
No,
on the executives. I blame it on the security people and the tech support. Because to your point, what is the first thing that we use for training? Hey, here's this computer-based training. Go ahead, do it. Do this test, and if you fail the
yeah,
phishing that comes in, we're just going to make you take another course. Da da da. No one, I can't say no one. Very, very rarely and infrequently do people actually go talk to users and actually
yeah,
explain how to recognize phishing, how to recognize the issues, why these things are important. And it was actually I just there was a post by Hacker Valley Media not too long ago about training, and I said I think the biggest issue is businesses are so quick to um, hey, we got to check the box, get this training out the door, and say we're secure and we've done what we
yeah,
can do and we've done our due diligence, that they're afraid to lose money or lose their employees' time by taking them out of work and putting them in a classroom to actually learn these things. And
yeah,
I think that is the biggest issue because even us as security professionals get burned. One of
yeah,
my one of my best friends as far as like online and someone that I look up to for what he does in security, got burned recently
Oh
within the
man.
past few months. So it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. It
And
really does.
if you're not willing to like talk to the users like in person, how are they ever going to learn? Because
I
if
get
you give
what
them a
you're
computer-based
saying.
training, it's click, 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 click. Take the test. I know the answers. Let's go on.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I just think like the awful part is you can tell them all you want, but
Hmm?
they're not gonna listen. A
I
lot
think
of
to an
times
extent.
they don't.
I think to an extent. I think if you sit down and they don't feel ashamed for messing up, and this
Yeah.
is why I more or less advocate for third-party companies, because they're not going to be embarrassed talking to someone they don't know that they're never going to see again. Whereas when you're talking to people within your organization, you're like, "Hey, I fucked up," and da da da. They're like, "What do you do?" And then you're going to
Yeah.
see them every day, and you're going to be embarrassed because you did this and you did that. Whereas when you talk to a third-party organization, you can sit there and actually walk up after a class usually and just talk to them like, "Hey, look, I got a question. So I saw this email. Can you explain what I did wrong, what I missed, da da da, or why this is important?" And you'll get a lot more interaction that way. Now,
Yeah.
again, there's the flip side to that people would sometimes like to talk to people they're more comfortable with and that they know personally.
Yeah.
But I just think that having a little bit of both
Yeah.
wouldn't
I
hurt.
agree. I think it's also some people are just careless. And there is that like false security mindset of I have antivirus, nothing is gonna bother me. I literally tell
No, no,
people
no. Hold up,
all the
hold up. Let
time.
me stop you. I'm gonna take a shot right at cybersecurity people right now. I run Linux. I don't need to worry about antivirus. God.
Yeah. Well, I just even regular people, they're just like I have antivirus, I don't need to worry about it. And I'm like, I explain to them, think of it as a door. Like you can have as many locks on that door, but if you let somebody in, they're gonna come through the door and no one's
Hmm?
gonna be able to stop it. I was like, I want you to understand that door is only as good as you can possibly keep it. If you're
Yep.
unlocking it, letting these things come in, then it's not going to do anything. You're literally saying it's okay, this is safe. And so the antivirus is going to let its guard down, and then you're screwed, and it's too late. Um, it's also like when I was doing my internship, I was able to use like a platform called Noble4, and it lets you see the stats. It lets you see so much, and like I swear by it. I love it so much.
It's
You have
it's a
to
lot
create.
like Go Fish. Go Fish does a lot of the same things. Know Before is just it's more intuitive and offers more because you pay for it.
Yeah,
So because you pay for it, you get the trainings, you get the phishing emails, you get to do everything. Go Fish is
yeah,
just a phishing email platform with all the stats. Know Before actually has everything built in.
yeah. So you were able to like create your landing pages. So like I actually created one that directed them to our security information page, and then like at that page it told them exactly like what to look for and how they messed up. There are some people who like they fall for it so many times they're like, all right, maybe I should really listen to this. And the worst thing is it only takes one person. So it's just like before I left, I kept pushing them like I really want to create like sort of like a doomsday thing where it's like, oh, we're having a training and then everything goes dark and everything like yeah, I'm a very
Yeah.
extravagant person. So I think people really would have that shock of, oh my God, we're being hacked. This is what happens.
Yeah.
So when I left them with like a PowerPoint and I was like, this is all the points you need to hit. I'm like, this is when you're walking in, the first things you want to learn. And so
Yep.
it's still, coming from an intern, it's just an intern. I've only learned so much, but
But I love that. I love that. And I'm going to touch on that. But we have a few other people. Man, we got more people joining tonight. Some of them I've never seen. Some of them I have. So we got the Shy Hat on Twitch. Very rarely does Twitch talk. We have someone today. How you doing, buddy? Let's see. We've got Griffin Infosec came up. Stop opening all the doors and windows like you were talking about. Jess Bishop is here once again. She's another night owl. She works the night shift. So I've tried to get her on my show on several occasions. One of these days, she's going to have to take off on a Friday so she can be on because I've
today
been
was
working on
rough.
it. We've got the Joker 3000 on Twitch. I'm drinking Yingling as always. I have some IPAs, but I'm trying to behave myself tonight because I got another podcast to do. R. Fisher, hey everyone. And let's see, the Griffin. I bet you this is Griffin Infosec. Dragon's Milk tonight. Actually, that's a good one. So yeah, it's crazy. So apparently this person knows you. Applied consistency, and they're very right. WGU, I hear so many great things about. Nicole, can you talk about how great WGU is?
Yeah, so I have experienced 3 different schools. I went to Ashford, and they were literally pushing on me healthcare information management, and it was a lot of introducing myself over and over, and I don't like that. Having to do like an about me for every class, kind of. I'm never gonna meet these people. Teach me and let me move on. I never thought that was gonna be a possibility. So then, I started at a community college. I was like, you know what, I'll do 2 years here, and then I'll work my way up. And then I had like a thing over $300, and I refused to pay $300 that I shouldn't have had to pay. So I like bought that for a whole summer. And then finally, like right when I figured that all out, I ended up finding WGU, and I was just like, forget it. I found out like so many certifications come built in. And I think it's really beneficial because like people here, you get like so many that everyone wants. Everyone's like, oh, just skip. I'm like, I can't skip because it's part of my program. Why would I pay $400 or $600 for a certification when it's already built in my tuition? So it is a waiting game. You do have like certain things you want to like hit first. I think they said I have to do A plus and Net plus. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but that's got to be done before I do Security Plus, according to my mentor. So I kind of hated that part. I'm working on it now. So I'm at that like part where everything is certifications except for I think 3 classes, and I'm stressed out. But I'm working on it, and I worked on it really fast, and I was able to do Sophia Learning, so I transferred in 10 classes, and it really benefited me because, now I can just keep going through. I think the only bad part about WGU is there's that expectation I could do it in like a month. Like, you can essentially if you really, really work on it, but most people do it like a regular class. Like, you work on it and study, and then, you do it. Also, the benefit is you don't have to keep doing assignments. There's no assignments except for like you get a paper for a class or you get a like practiced exam. And if you pass, you pass. The downfall is you have to hit every point for that paper. You can't just be like there for 9 out of 10. You have to get 10 out of 10 for every single one. These things are not negatives. It's just I want you to know this ahead of time.
Yeah,
And as far
and
as I know, oh, go ahead.
that's good. I was gonna say that's good though because you need to know the information, and I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, so you can't just like crap around and say, "Oh yeah, I know it." You physically are watched. You're not able to like look at your books. You don't get no notes. You physically get asked these questions, and it's all sort of similar to the certifications. A lot of the questions can be correct, but you have to click the best correct or the most like logical.
Oh,
Which
so CISP questions. I love it.
I hate that so much. I don't know why we have to be tricked. It's like, do you know this stuff or not? And they're like, well, I want you to think like logically, but also professionally. And it's just like, you do your best. I'm like, I want to know, do you know this stuff? I don't want to know if you can think about it. Like, everyone thinks differently. Like, I really overthink things. So I'm very afraid when it comes to me taking the exams. Because I'm like, the way I look at it, it's not going to be a normal person. I look for the back door or the side door, and like I think about everything.
She walks and see. Look, you know what's funny about that is you could be married to like a Marine who like that's their habit of their back is to the wall. They got to see everything and know everything. It's like your Rangers, your SEALs, and everything. You were that person. You're like, oh, we're fighting over this. I got to be able to see it all.
Yeah.
I got to know all that's going on.
Yeah. And it's not like obsessive or anything. It's just I want to know the best way to do it. I want to know like you could tell me something. I'm like, well, what if we could do it better? Like, what if I can do it faster? What if, like, why are we doing it this way if it could be done way faster? And it's not, cutting corners. It's like literally the logical way of things don't get updated like they should be.
Yeah.
So I really want people to really think about it and be like, yeah, I want to make sure that I'm doing it the best way, but also the fastest way.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will throw this out there, this little curveball. Beep. Because today's Friday the 13th, and Microsoft done fucked up once again and put out an update. What is it?
Tuesday.
An ASR to Microsoft Defender that destroyed and erased all of your shortcuts in your start menu and taskbar and things like that, because Defender said it was bad. So kudos. Yeah. I'm one of the ones that's like, hey, update, as soon as you can. And then Microsoft pulls this shit. So
we'll see how me going to work goes tonight, because I've put updates and then I left, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, like I got a message today at work, and they're like, hey, I don't have the bandwidth for this. Can someone take a look at it? And I looked, and I was like, what'd they do?
Yeah. Well,
find the answers. There's scripts. Somebody wrote a script out there to recreate the shortcuts and do everything. But still, if you don't take one of their ASR roles and put it into audit mode instead of actual active, it'll keep erasing those shortcuts over and over and over.
There's some update that's been like creating BitLocker to go ahead and like automatically do within an update. So I was having that issue and I didn't have a resolution for it. I just, what do you do? That's like literally they're locked out of their stuff, and if they don't have the code, they don't get in. So I put that out there, like, somebody else have an answer for me? Nobody had the answer for me.
Can somebody answer me, please?
Yeah, nobody had that answer, so that kind of sucked. And then I've had one where, like, the password is automatically saying it's wrong, even though they're 100% sure they're typing it right. They've reset it to make sure it was right, but some update that they pushed tells them it's wrong.
Oh, you gotta love that one.
That was happening on New Year's, and everyone was calling me, and I was like, I don't know. I don't have a resolution right now. We're figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean, although, you want to know the worst one I've seen? And because we're talking updates, I got to bring this shit up. I was working for an organization, and at the time, thankfully, we didn't run McAfee, but a lot of others did. And there was a McAfee update that went out that considered one of your system files malware. So I think it either quarantined or deleted. I can't remember what it did to the file. But either way, every computer that was running McAfee blue screened, because it would scan, find it, and there it goes. And I was like, oh, that is fucking awesome. Thankfully, I ain't got to deal with it.
Yeah, that's where I get, like, the downfall, because I deal with the tech support and the security. So it's a lot of users who are just like, I'm a dinosaur. I don't know how to do this. They literally tell me this all the time. Or I had, like, a guy yelling at me. He's like, I'm not a tech nerd like you. And he's like, I can't find the start button. I'm not a tech nerd. And I'm like, I can't help you. I can't click the buttons for you. I wish I could sometimes, but, like, you have to do this. And they're like, no, I'm not a tech nerd. I don't turn on the computer. And I'm like, why are we talking then?
So I got a question. Sure. I got a question. All right. I want to take a break from updates just because we could go through a lot of horror stories. I've got a ton. I worked help desk. I've worked desktop support, hardware support. We can go through a slew of them, and it gets hilarious. But I got to ask you, being a cyber mom, and I bring this up because it is right in your LinkedIn header. Cyber mom. A, where'd you come up with that? And B, how do you feel about it?
I don't know. Like, I did healthcare for 10 years, so it was rough. My kids, they don't really get what mom does. They're just like, she does some stuff with the computer, and if it breaks, she can fix it. So they don't really get it. the babies are way too little. So I have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then I have a 10-year-old, and I have a 13-year-old. My heading was mostly for people to understand I'm not just a wife, but we have kids, so leave me alone. I had a lot of people who are like, oh, I know you say you're married, but can you like talk to me? I'm like, no, I'm not
Wow.
leaving my family. Like, can we not have this
I
conversation?
got 5 boys. Me and my wife got 5 boys. So, like, when I see
We have 3.
CyberMom, I'm like, is she doing the same shit I'm doing?
What do you mean?
Because I'm an asshole. I go to my kids and be like, look, y'all know I can see everything you do.
Oh,
I don't care
yeah.
what device you're on. Because my oldest is 14, my youngest is 5. So yeah, I literally look at him and go, don't play games because I'm gonna find out.
My
I'm just letting
daughter,
you know.
she
I'm gonna
surprises
know.
me all the time. Like, she she hasn't had a phone for very long. We kind of kept her off technology just because she had done stuff before
Hmm.
that got it taken away. We've tried a couple times and it just wasn't working out. Um, she gets a worse attitude when she has technology, so we just
Yeah.
don't want to deal with anything extra. She's the only girl, but she beats everyone up. It is a whole thing. Um, I wanted a girl to have all that cute clothes and cute niceness, and no, there is
That
fire
shit
in
don't
that
exist. What are you
woman.
talking about, Nicole?
She's awful. I love her, but she is like a splitting image of me at that age, and I did not like having brothers. But she'll put her phone on like airplane mode before she goes to bed, so we can't see her getting messages. Or like, she just tries to be sneaky. And my
But at
husband's like,
least
I
she's
was that
not
kid.
waking up and like texting because it's on airplane mode. So it's not like the
Oh, we
messages can
take
even
it
come
because
in.
she told me. She's like, I can't trust myself to sleep. And I'm like, good that you're willing to admit that. Bad that you're dealing with that. Like, go to sleep. And like, we take away her like internet. My husband will lock it on the like, router, and
Mhm.
she'll go and she'll connect to the neighbors or something. I'm like,
Nice.
why? Why do we
That's
have
what
to
I'm
take the
talking
call?
about.
We literally let you have it so you can watch TV on it. And she's like, well, I don't know. Or recently she got sneaky, not like sneaky, but like she connected the Alexa to the computer so that way she can have the sound by her. And so like she'll try to talk to her friends and stuff. I'm like, how do you learn these things? Like, we didn't have this
The
when I
same
was
way you
little.
did. YouTube.
Yeah, it's just like it's amazing to me. Like when I was a kid, we didn't do that stuff. Like we didn't have that stuff. My son's calling me from Alexa when I'm out, and he's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Who are you?"
Who
I'm like,
is this?
how did you get my number? Who's your mom?" I'm not mom right now. I'm out. He's just he's my clingy one. My 10-year-old will literally like, it's been 30 minutes. Are you still alive?
That's my oldest. Actually, he's gotten better recently. A lot better since we got him in this new
No,
school and he's
there's
made
no
friends.
better.
But yeah, at 10, 11, 12, 13, I swear the one time I was on my way home and my wife was or my son was old enough that he could watch his brothers for like 15, 20 minutes, no big deal. And I was literally I think a half hour from the house. And my wife was like, "All right." She had told him, "Hey, I got to run to Walmart. Your dad's on his way home. I'll be back in probably 45 minutes because it wasn't that far from the house."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay." Literally 10 minutes after she left, he's calling me.
Where are
Dad,
you?
Dad, where you at? What do you mean, where am I at? I'm on my way home.
Yeah.
Oh, where's your mother? Oh, she went to Walmart like an hour ago. I called her. I was like, babe, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm going to Walmart. I left like 5 minutes ago. Why is your son calling me?
So we're the crazy parents and we had like cameras up and we let them know. So when
Oh,
like
yeah.
my daughter had a boyfriend and he's like, "Oh, can I sneak in?" She's like, "No, my mom will know. Like there's alarms on every door. Like no." He's like, "What if I come through the window?" She will know. I'm like, we
Yep.
do not take chances. Like I don't. I give them complete privacy and like all their own rooms, like
Yeah.
But like when it comes to the doorways and the hallways, like I want to know like what's happening in there, and
Yeah.
so
I've got Google and like as bad as it is, and I'm in security, I know how much data of mine they take. The funny thing is I don't give a damn what people hear me say, as we can tell from this fucking show right here. I really don't care. So yeah, I have Google, and I could literally just pull up a camera in my office, a camera outside, another camera somewhere else.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm gonna see you, homie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust people. We had like girls that were being really creepy.
Yeah.
My daughter's friends were like peeking in the windows and stuff, and I was like, this is gonna stop. Like, we had all kinds of issues, like girls trying to beat up, like, work nights, so I sleep during the days. And so they were like coming, knocking on the door, trying to get my daughter to come out with the baby and trying to beat her up. I'm like, I don't play this. Like, what are you doing?
Mama Bear don't play that way.
Like,
This
yeah.
is not gonna fly.
I was like, we will have you and your parents arrested. I will find something. We do not do this.
I will find something on you.
Literally, like, I know they all do bad things. My neighbor was literally, so we have the Pierogi Fest in my town, and my
Nice.
neighbor was selling our parking spots. She was literally like selling the block. She was like putting cars in it, and then she was taking money from people and moving them. Like,
Hold up, that's money, right? I cannot be mad at the entrepreneurial spirit of that person, because that is fucking money.
she's just not very smart though. Like, so just like a couple months before that, we have like a little parking lot across the way, and then we have like a liquor store. And this lady let her husband and 5 kids sit in the car with this drunk guy driving, and had a kid sitting on his lap doing the steering because he passed out. And they drove through the
Wow.
liquor store with her in the passenger seat. And like, the girl didn't know how to drive, obviously, and the dad passed out, like put his foot down on the like gas, went right through the liquor store. So she's not very smart.
Wow. Yes, I'm drinking Yingling. That's all I ever drink. Well, actually, that's a lie. I drink IPAs also. Applied consistency once again in the chat. Ask some questions I know the answer to. But yeah, I look. Hey, for anybody who's listening on podcast and or watching the replay, this is my fucking show. So sometimes we get off topic from security, and that's what we're doing right now, because kids are important. I love my kids, but they can be assholes.
Oh yeah.
Bet you Nicole loves her kids, but they can be assholes.
Yep.
It's okay. We still love them and want the best for them. Just saying.
My mom's like, don't call them that. I'm like, you've called me worse. She's like, fair game.
You've called me worse. All right, you're right. All right, I can't say no.
I'm like, well, I learned from the best.
Right? That's about how it goes. So all right, let's kind of like veer back on track to cybersecurity before I keep going off on tangents. So getting into your first full-time job, you got that out of your internship. How did you feel? Like, what were you actually going for? And is it kind of what you expected getting into it?
So my goal was like, I was under the impression that it was like you do tech support, and then if you're lucky, you get into a SOC. That was kind of like the roadmap. So I expected it to take a lot longer, but I was being very persistent. I was told the very first thing you want to do is like make sure you network on LinkedIn. So I thought it was going to be impossible to get like 500 people. I worked really hard on it. My husband hated me for months. Like, he literally was just like, you're always on there. You're always talking to people. I'm like, I am working, like, because I'm in school. I work already. I was doing my internship. He's like, pay attention to me. I'm like, go find a hobby.
Go
like,
find a hobby. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm like, I'm doing this for our future. Like, it's important to me that we get here. I came from like really, really broke parents. Like, my mom at 1 year had like $7,000 she made the whole year. And that was with
Damn, I thought that was bad.
Yeah, so it was rough. And she, kicked butt. She did what she had to do. But I didn't want my kids to have to go through that. So it was like, I've been going to school. I've been, I did anything I could in like my beginning part of getting in a career. Like, I thought I was going to be stuck in microbiology. That was kind of where I started. And I did that for like 10 years. I did like food microbiology, then I moved to like healthcare. At one point, I thought like phlebotomy was going to be my thing, but I did not want people to bite me. Um, so I did sit down and I really like assessed what I wanted. I was like, I want to work from home. I want to help people. I was like, I want to be able to work wherever I want, but I also want to have that feeling of like being important, being valued, being like, given the opportunity to grow. I was like, my
You
most
picked the
important.
wrong field if you want to be valued because they fucking hate us.
Hey, okay, they hate us. I get that, but like our teens, they care about us, and
All right. I'll
I
give you
get it.
that one.
I
I'll
don't
give you
need
that one.
everybody. I just need like my own crew. Like we have conferences, we have like
Hey, we
these
gotta be
things.
ride or die, man. We just gotta roll deep, and that's how we go.
Yeah. So I sat down and I was like, I want to have something that I'm constantly learning. When I was in microbiology, I got bored.
Yeah,
Like you kind of learn all the bacteria, you learn all the antibiotics, you learn that, and then it's just like you do that repeatedly over and over and over and over, and it's just they threw me a curveball with COVID, like surprise, but I didn't know what was going to be next. I was like, I got really bored. And then I was like, I need to do what I wanted to do in the very beginning. And I went back to
yeah,
cyber. So when I was doing, the technical support route, I had the worst experience over and over. Like, I met the jerks of the jerks. I literally
yeah.
was put into, like, I had an interview for a job that I did not know what it was. It was like undisclosed company. Like it just was really fishy.
Yeah.
They put me in an office and they left me there. They kept coming in to check on me. They're like, I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll be there as soon as I can. Now, this was the coolest table I'd ever been at. Every computer part I've ever seen, like just all laid out. It was just like, some tables have like trains, like little train tables or
Yeah.
whatever. It was that, but with computer parts. And so I was like, that's so cool. So I was just entertained looking at all of it and figuring out like what parts it was for, different things. But they were like, oh, we're in a meeting, we're coming in. Well, the boss comes in, he sits down, and he's like, I don't have I can't give you this job. You're not smart enough. That was my very first tech interview.
Damn.
My very, very first. He looked at my resume, saw that I was growing bacteria out of spit. Like, and you literally said, you're too stupid to take apart computers, so you can't have this role. And they're like, we can give you like $11 an hour. Mind you, it took me almost 2 hours to get to this place. And they're like, we can offer you like $11 an hour and you can work back here. And they were like telling me just wiping hard drives, just like putting them all on a machine and running them. And I was like, I was told you do software. Like, I'm so confused. I'm like, you don't even like do nothing. They're like, we don't deal with software. And
Wow.
you can't sit down, call me dumb, and then still offer me a job that's cutting my pay. Like, we're not doing that. Like,
No, and that's and I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to stop you right there because you're right about cutting pay and calling you stupid.
yeah,
First thing is a lot of people don't know their worth. The fact that you realized they were cutting your pay, the fact that you realized they were being assholes, and we're like,
yeah,
homie, no, this
yeah,
shit ain't gonna fly. Like, you're not gonna be an
yeah.
asshole and get away with it. Like, I just read actually Hacker and Heal. So Stacy Champagne, good friend of mine, or been on the show. I say good friend, but we've talked like twice, so that'd be a lie. But acquaintance of mine, I know I support everything she does. Just put up, and she's right that like even males will apply if they fit like 50 to 60% of the qualifications. They're like, fuck yeah, let's go. Most women look for
Yeah.
100% of the qualifications. Like, I got to meet it all. I got to be
So,
perfect. I got to be able to do this job to a T. Go.
yeah,
And then don't argue their pay. And it's like, look, you come to that table like, what's the salary? What's your range? I'm
yeah.
up here. I deserve $90,000 a year when the range is 70 to 90. You're like, I get 90.
Yeah, because that's
What?
your budget. Everything else is just, that's your projected maximum amount you can pay them. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you should be there or beyond because they want you. They picked
Yep.
you. So it's just, you know, I think the reason when I really sat down and I thought about it, guys are kind of, they're just throwing things out there a lot. Or or from my experience, they're just like, well, we'll just see what we get. And girls
Yeah.
are like, we have this interview, we have to find a babysitter. My first like week of interviews, I was a wreck. I remember laying on like the couch crying because I was like, I can't do this again. I had so many interviews, and then I was having them second round interviews, and then they're planning like the next in person interview, and like my husband was like at work again for the first time in like 2 years, and I was at home with the kids, and I'm trying to schedule it like around nap time, and then I'd forget about a time change, and it was just so much where I was like, I'm trying here. I just had a baby. I don't know what to do. And, like that was so hard because I get so like hopeful I was going to get it. And then I'd be in like the bottom two. And they're like, oh, well, you're really good, but this, or like, we really want you, but this person has this. And like a lot
Yeah.
of the times it was literally Security Plus that if you had this, I would have had the jobs.
Yeah.
And it sucked because it was like, I can't. I have to wait till I get to that part of my degree. Like, I have to still pass the other two. I can't jump. And they're like, why don't you just pay to take it? And like I said, I'm not wasting that money. So I think it really comes down to like, as a like me in general, I have to look at my whole situation and I have to understand what my time is valuable with. So
Yeah.
like I can't just apply to this job because I know if they're gonna want to meet me, I'm gonna have to interview and that's gonna be an hour of my time I don't get back. So
Exactly. And that's, I understand. And this is where, as a society, we're kind of different. And this is what I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. A lot of fucking hate. But as a parent, whether you're a father or a mother, it does not matter. When you are looking for work, at this point in time in our society, a lot of times you have two working parents because the economy fucking blows and everybody's working. But when you have one that is at home looking for work, that means they're still taking care of their kids, regardless of who it is. 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be honest, it is the wife, the woman that is at home taking care of the kids. That's
not
just the way
this
we are.
time.
I'm not saying all the time, but 9 times out of 10, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And because of that, we are trying to work things around. We want to work full time. We want to be able to work either daytime or nighttime, whatever. Whenever your mind works best is what I suggest. Not necessarily based around a child's schedule, more so based around when your mind is more functional is when you should be working.
Yeah.
But the interview process has to take place during normal working hours, 9 to 5, wherever that company is located.
Yeah.
So that scheduling, that figuring it out, just because it's a problem initially does not mean it'll be a problem later on. But I think a lot of companies get into this mindset of, oh, we're going to have to deal with this. We're going to have to deal with that. We don't want them because of this, that, and the third. And again, just because they normally expect that, and I will say it, they normally expect that from women. We are still in a society where the woman is the housekeeper, the caretaker of the children and things like that. That is just the way society is. I don't give a damn what anybody says. That's the way society is. Don't fucking come at me. But because of that, if it's a problem now, they see it as a problem later. Should it be that way? No. I will not say it should be that way, but that is what companies look at as their bottom line. And if I'm hiring someone and they're having issues now, they're going to have issues later. But we do have people in chat like Applied Consistency and Griffin Infosec. Gender, race, whatever, religion, creed, doesn't fucking matter. Should not play an issue. Unfortunately, until we get to a point in time where gender's not on an application, race is not on an application. Fuck them. As much as I hate going to like a number system because I think companies treat everybody like a number, but even take names off of applications. Actually, you know what? Elon Musk changed that. Screw that. He named his kid something fucking backwards. I don't even fucking care. I can't pronounce his fucking kids' names. So guess what? He threw that shit out the window. There ain't nobody out there that has a normal name anymore. It don't even fucking matter. Just go with it.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to jobs don't tell you even what shift they're gonna have you work most of the time. Like,
and they don't even tell you
have
shift
hours.
work initially.
And that's really sucky. It's like I want to know like what you expect from me. I want to know what hours you expect it, what days you expect it. I want to know like just give me the rundown, because if it's gonna work, it's gonna work. Otherwise, like, why even waste everybody's time?
And I
Like, tell
think,
me how much.
yeah, that transparency, the what are you looking for? Are you looking for 9
Yeah.
to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, 9 to 6, whatever the case may be? Are you looking for outside of, like, are you looking for shift work? So you're looking for, hey, we're going to interview, we got 5 positions. We need to fill a day shift, a mid
Yeah.
shift, and a night shift. Okay, let's talk. I'll tell you right off the bat, I can work day shift or I can work night shift. What's the
Yeah.
pay? I need to know what that salary is up front, because I'm not going to interview with you and waste your time
Yeah.
if I'm
Exactly.
already making more money. That makes no sense. Or
Yeah.
if I can't afford it, like, it logically, it's pointless.
Yeah.
So I think
There's
this
no point in that
transparency needs to
secret.
come more up
Like,
front.
yeah, everybody's like, oh, it's a secret. It's a secret. Like, why is it a secret? It's a waste of your time. That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's like, there's no secret here, because either you can pay me what I need to live or you can't, and that's all it takes. Like, if it's not
And
going to cover
everybody's
my
living
bills,
circumstances are different.
yeah. I think it's weird too when it comes to like the shift work hours, because it's like I've met people who are like, "Oh, I need days," or like, "I could never work nights." Like, I love nights. I worked days last week and I was like so sick from it because it was like 5 in the afternoon. I hadn't eaten lunch and like it was cold in there. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I was literally like sick the next day because it was just like, when you're like on day 2 of the cold and you just feel like weak and like exhausted, and I
Yeah.
felt like that just from being up during the day for like, during my sleep hours, and like missing my lunch, and being in different situations that I'm used to. Or like I have kids, so like if I work second shift, I will never see them. Like there is no amount of money that
Yeah.
I would choose to work second shift for. I don't
Yeah.
care. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'll pay you 10,000." No, there's no number for that because you don't get that time back.
Exactly. And I think people, this is a problem right now we have, at least in Western culture. I don't know about any other culture or any other country. I've never lived
Yeah,
in another country. I don't know how they operate.
I don't want
I know how
to.
the military in the US operates, and I know how civilian infrastructure operate, or civilian jobs operate in the US. And that is that we have a situation where you're supposed to, jobs were lined up initially. Again, we go back decades. Actually, now probably about a century. Fuck, man, too old. I ain't even that old, but I feel old. So we go back quite a few decades. Women weren't even working; they weren't allowed to work.
Yeah,
And then we bring them into the workforce. So at the time when they couldn't work, the man, the husband, always worked. They're the ones that got all the jobs. They're the ones that did everything. And so that issue of caretaker was never an issue. But the
yeah.
cost of living, and usually, not always, usually people's raises went up with cost of living.
Oh yeah, and it's
Now we're at a point in
not
time where it takes 2 incomes. That's
3,
four.
4,
So
maybe
two
5.
incomes, sometimes 5 incomes. You never know. And so you have all these incomes now, which means you have 2 people working. Who's going to take care of the kids? They're like, oh, I'll pay for daycare. Why? Because the cost of daycare is usually the cost of just one job.
Yeah,
Like, they don't realize that the economy is in such a way that even with 2 jobs, I can't afford to have my wife working. She could work a damn good job, but daycare is so expensive. She'd basically making like $3 an hour after daycare.
I
Like,
don't
it'd be
trust
fucking
anybody
pointless.
either. Like, there's no standards that like I want cameras in all daycare facilities. I want that to know what my kid's doing. I don't want like pictures because there is so much bad stuff that happens. Like I know nobody is perfect. I get that. But it is so dangerous. You put your kid in daycare, that kid is getting sick all the time, and you're not going to give me sick time. So I'm stuck in that middle of like, thankfully, like my jobs are very understanding where they're just like, yeah, if you need time, take it. But most of the time, jobs are not going to let you take if your kid's sick. And if my kid's bringing home the plague every other week because they're at the daycare, like there's no way around that. So we just had like sickness go around our house twice. Thankfully, I work from home, so I could be sick and still push through, and I don't get anybody else sick. But like a lot of people who have in-person jobs, the job's like, why are you here if you're sick? You're gonna get everyone else sick. And it's like, well, you won't give me the time off, so what do I do? So
So actually, we have applied consistency here, and he is right. If you live a frugal life, you don't really have what's it called? Things, right? You don't have any of the technology or like pay for streaming services and live a very frugal life. Yes, on a military income, on one income, on whatever, you can live a great life. I'll be honest. The only thing I gave up in the military was vacations because my wife didn't work. It was pointless. And I honestly did not want to have the kids in any type of daycare. Just not how it was. I didn't want either one of us missing out on time with the kids. It was bad enough I was. I didn't want my wife to. But on top of that, that frugal lifestyle isn't for me. I want my kids to have entertainment. I want my wife to have entertainment. And unfortunately, we live in a society today that if they're not exposed to it at home, they're exposed to it at school. I'd rather myself expose my kids and my family to what's out there as opposed to one of their friends being like, oh, I got a PS5. I'm cool and you're not. You're an asshole. Like, I love nature. I love going on outside. I love being around the fire. I love hanging out. But kids are bullies, and I'd rather my kids not be bullied. So I do what I can for them, and that's the way it is. They get to watch, shows on Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu, and as long as I put the kid controls on for the younger ones, I don't fucking care. But that's just the way it is. It's just a matter of how you want to live. And I've had used cars for years. I have, other than my wife's van, I have not owned a new car for myself in probably 15 years because
my car is super expensive. So I pay like $500 a month for my used car, and it's not fancy.
That's that's cheaper than mine.
It's just because of the situation, like, and I pay like $300 for like just insurance. So that's literally almost the same as my rent.
Yeah. Well, I got a mortgage now, and it's still really expensive. The mortgage isn't expensive. The insurance and taxes are. The mortgage was less than my rent. Yeah. Then when you tacked on everything else, then it was like, oh, hey, homie, you're also going to have to pay this extra money.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
A lot of people don't put that into consideration. Like, if something breaks, I can call my landlord, and he's got to figure it out. But, like, when you own your house, you got to fix the roof. You got to, like, fix the pipes. Something breaks, like, oh, you're going to have to get out there and do it. And you're going to have to find a person to do it for you. So, good luck.
Yep. I had arguments. I quit renting because I had arguments. I can't have an apartment. I got, like I said, 5 kids. There is not an apartment or small little studio or anything that'll fit my family. I'm 6'3", 260 fucking pounds. There is no way in hell I'm fitting into a tiny ass apartment with 5 kids, and my oldest is almost as tall as me. That shit just ain't working. So we had to rent a house, and I rented a house. The rent went up every year. My income did not go up every year, so I had to adjust for that. And then when repairs came up, especially when we had like bee infestations in the fucking chimney because there was a hole in my chimney. Oh, they were like, oh, you got to handle it. I'm like, homie, there's a hole in the chimney and I've got bees and hornets coming out. And they were like, insects are on you. I'm like, there's a hole in the chimney. You know what? I'm out. See you later. I ain't even staying here no more.
Yeah, we want to buy a house, but it's just a matter of I just finally have enough income to be able to afford it. So, like, my credit's not there yet, and like nobody's like, yeah, you could just rent my house, so we'll find out March if we're moving again. So we don't even have like a baseline. We don't even know where we're gonna go. We're just like, we can move anywhere because I work remote, so I can go anywhere. It's just a matter of not being there, like not having the flexibility because I don't know how it works. I was telling my husband, I'm like, that could be your hobby. I'm like, figure out the living situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's one of those things. It just takes time.
Yeah.
And so, but man, we went off on a lot of tangents that weren't cyber related.
Oh, that's just what happens with me. I don't know. It just happens.
You know what happens with me too, but I'm usually able to pull it back around And
No,
I just have not done that today because I've been in on it, on the
there's no.
conversation.
It's always good talks. It's just it goes everywhere. Anybody who's talked to me, it just happens. I don't know.
Look, me and you would get along great. Let's bring your husband over. He could have a drink in my bar with me. Y'all can go have fun. It'll be a
Yeah,
blast.
he
Oh,
needs
you can drink him.
friends.
Actually, you're in cyber. He's not. So we'll switch. Me and you will talk, and he can go with someone that's not in
You guys
cybersecurity.
could have your little military talk because he needs that.
Oh, this is very true. We could.
He just
I
found
retired
out
in
one.
2017. So,
Yeah, he just found out one of the guys live in our town and he's a cop, and now he's stressed out. He's like, he's gonna make our life like, a bad time.
nah,
I don't know.
actually, funny enough, you make friends with the cop, you get away whatever the fuck you want on your road. What the hell is he
They don't
talking
care
about?
anyway. They literally don't. They don't even like have cops in the police station. You have to like ring a bell and wait for them to come. Like,
Ding, ding, ding.
yeah, we'll be here in like 15, 20 minutes unless we're on a call. Then someone will eventually show up. It's a funny situation.
Yeah. But no, so let's try to bring this back around to cybersecurity.
Yeah,
Granted, I have a podcast that is all about mental health and self-improvement, all that other fun shit. So if you want to go watch and actually watch now on YouTube and or listen to Walk With Me, you're more than welcome to do that after this show. Not right now, you do it after. Cyber Dancer Danny, I refuse to do a tap off with you. You would whoop my ass. I've seen your Instagram videos. That shit ain't fucking happening. No. But you keep sharing the Infosec videos in my Discord and we'll be okay. Which, if you want to get my Discord, it's down below in the description of the YouTube video or LinkedIn. But yeah, so talking cyber, what have you found to be the hardest part getting into cybersecurity?
I don't really know. I think like you have that initial, it's really hard to find entry level. You have that where it says entry level, but with a bachelor's degree and 5 years of hands-on experience. You see that a lot. And then it really comes down to the job descriptions are just all over the place. There's a lot of secrets and that stuff going on, but you get in and then you just feel dumb. Like all the time, forever. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part for me. I went from being someone like who was a resource, like everyone could come to me and ask me questions, and now like I see stuff and I'm like I have no idea. I'm like I had to learn to ask for help, and that was a big thing.
I feel that pain.
Like we kind of like we think this is okay, but we have to figure out what they were doing. And like, there's a lot of laws in other countries. You can't see their files and you got to figure out what's going on there. And then, there's a lot of the people that we can't deal with. So there's a lot of tape that people don't realize. And they're just like, why don't you know the answers? And it's like, well, the answers don't really exist. So we're just figuring it out.
I love that. And the reason I love that is because I ended up, I was working on computers from the time I was a child. And by the time I got into cybersecurity, I had built computers, I had fixed operating systems, I had done so much shit in my life.
Yeah.
And I was the go-to guy for my family, for my friends, for Best Buy, like where I used to sell computers in my high school and my college and all these other places. And then I get into cybersecurity and I think, I know my shit. I'm fucking good. I got this. And even to this day, I'm like, I don't fucking got shit. I gotta look this up. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
What is Reddit telling me today? Like, what is like that is even for the bullshit that went on at Microsoft today. You want to know where all the information came from? Reddit. Literally every article fucking commented Reddit and was like, yeah, the techies in Reddit were like, hey, here's this. And hey, here's a script to fix it. And here's this. And I'm like, and Microsoft ain't said shit. All they said was, yeah, hey, our update broke it. And I'm like,
yeah. Microsoft has been really great lately because there's no number.
Stupid sometimes.
Yeah, and you know,
So
that's a
stupid.
big thing. I don't know. I just feel like it's so cool when you meet people though, because like my one of my bosses, he literally gets so nerdy about it. He's like, "Here's a link. Here's a link. Here's a link." I'm like, "Okay, I have 7 links, and I have 30 minutes to get this answer. So, which is the good link?" And he's like, "I got all this stuff," and I'm like, "I know, and I love that. This is really great, but right now we have 30 minutes to get this resolved."
Yep.
So, you know, he gives us so much, like, so many different resources, and, you know, that's super beneficial. It's just a matter of, like, figuring out which one's the best one, because there's always something new.
Yeah, for
So
sure. For sure.
I think, like, go ahead.
I love this. I got Jess Bishop and Applied Consistency, which I wish I knew who he was. This homie gonna have to let me know because I got to get him on the show. He's a military vet too, so he's gonna have to come on. But we have there are a few smartest person in the room types that can make it tough. Learning to ignore them and ask for help is so important. Very true. If you're the smartest in the person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I will say
Yeah.
that.
It's really
Then we
good
have,
conversations when you're not, too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I love that.
The smartest people are able to say, I don't know. Again, very
You
true.
never say I don't know. You have to dance around it. Like,
Oh
I
no,
will
I've
figure
said
it
I don't
out.
fucking know. I say I don't know, but I know how to figure it out.
Yeah,
I'll
I've
find a
learned the
fucking
hard
answer for
way.
you, homie. Let's
I
figure
will
this shit
find
out
it.
together. So I've done that, and yes, I've actually done posts on that. I have a lot of comments, with my what I believe in. Um, you know what, William? Go bite me, all right, homie. I love you, but bite me. He just said he need to find a new room. You're an asshole. but
Well, it's
but
just a
I
lot.
do with my belief system and what I believe. I read a lot of anybody that's I'm gonna grab this right now because they're gonna say it. Anybody that's listened to Walk with me and how much I talk about the Havamal on my podcast knows it's a lot about wisdom and how you obtain it. And
Yeah.
you never obtain it by being quiet, and you don't obtain it by being the loudest person in the room. You have to kind of know when to listen and know when to talk because you have to share knowledge. And
Yeah.
that is one of the things I'm big on is sharing knowledge and being able to figure that shit out. Now, before
Yeah.
we go, because it is top of the hour, hold up, wrong way. Man, this camera fucks me all up. I'm literally facing forward, like to point to you. Before we go, any last advice for anyone breaking into cyber, and B, once you get into cyber, any advice at all?
I think when it comes to breaking in, I've said it and I'll say it again. Apply to the hard jobs. If there's a long application, you're gonna have less people that are doing those applications. Like if I see a long one, I'm turning around. I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing it. So there's a lot of like people. There's more chances that people will see you, because there's gonna be a smaller pool. Because they're like, you know, this is too long. It's a waste of time. Take that time because then you're gonna have more chances. And then also, I tell everyone I believe in the spray and pray, but I also believe in having a strong resume. Um, I I know a lot of people hate that, but I have had my hopes up about so many things where I'm just like, I know for sure I'm gonna get this, and I didn't get it. So if you put your hopes up in a job, they only have a position, and they're gonna pick the best person. And if you're starting out, you're probably not gonna be their top pick. So you really just have to like talk yourself up, stand what you are, and make sure that you hit all those points in your resume. Um, if you are not getting interviews, then it's probably your resume. If you are not getting past like to second interviews, then it's probably the things you're saying or your experience, and really take that. Like understand that if there's feedback given, you want to take action with those things they told you.
Yep.
So I think that's a huge thing. Like applying is the hard part at first, and then you get through that hard part, and then there's an even harder part. So I think a lot of people don't understand that at first. They just think, you know, it's so hard to get in. It's no, when you get in, you are literally so dumb. Like, and I mean that very gently. Like you have to look at things and you're just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's not just like, oh, securing
Teach
the
me.
network. It's like, oh, I created this script and I'm going to run it and you're not going to know what it is and there's going to be no, like, things on it. You're going to search it up and it doesn't exist. So it's just trying to figure that out.
Stack
So.
Overflow. What are you talking about? They have actually these days Chat GPT. Just go to Chat GPT, create an account. It'll fix it for you. You'll be all right.
No, it's not that it doesn't work. It's a matter of I don't know what it is or if it's safe. So, like, what I do is a lot of, like, sort of SOC work where, like, we're getting alerts and we're trying to figure out if they're okay or not. Why have they flagged? So,
Yeah.
a lot of these companies create their own codes and, scripts and stuff that they're running. And you try to, like, search it up by hash and it doesn't exist. There's no information. And, if it's in another country, you can't look at it. So you're just, like, trying to figure out with very minimal information. And it's a matter of having to message them and be like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, why don't you know what I'm doing? It's like, because it's a secret.
Because you're not allowed to know.
Like, no, it's just a matter of, like, they expect you to know everything about what they're doing, and you don't know all the things they're doing because, there's a lot of tape. So you have to ask to get that information.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. So I will say this, as we go off air, this will be the last 2 points I make. Point one, the best mentor I had in the military, every time I asked her a question, asked me if I looked it up first, which means
I don't like that.
I loved it. There's a reason for it, because you have to be able to find the answer. And if you can't find the answer, then yes, you go to someone with tribal knowledge that understands the nuances of the network. But sometimes the fixes can be found online. If they can't be found online and you've done your research and you've actually, like, Googled everything you can fucking Google, then you go to someone that understands has the tribal knowledge of the network, and you're like, hey, homie, I looked this shit up in like 50 different sites and I couldn't find shit. And then at that point, she was like, okay, that's because it's not online. You could have came to me after like the first 2 sites and I would have told you that. But you did your due diligence. So now let me explain to you what the answer is. And she would explain it in a very precise way. And even if you found the answer, you could go to her and be like, hey, I did this. Do you have a better explanation for why this shit worked and this shit didn't? And
that's who I am.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't want to keep wasting my time answering the same questions. So I do understand that part. So you're never going to get anywhere if you're running in circles. But at the end of the day, it's also, I hate getting questions to a question.
Like, oh, that is the worst.
Don't walk me in circles. I've already, assume I already did that because I don't want to ask you for help. So I'm like, can we just get past this part? I already tried.
Yeah, for sure. Completely get it. Yeah, and it's a valid point. Now, the last thing I will say, and this ain't cybersecurity related at all, this is all about me and all about my channel. Look, if you want to support this channel, the link to my website's been running down below the whole night. If you're listening on podcast, it is CyberWarriorStudios.com. I am putting up all new merchandise for Walk With Me and for Security Happy Hour in Cyber Warrior Studios. That should be going up throughout the first quarter of 2023. Or you can get whatever's on there now because I've already created some new shit. Otherwise, there's all the other ways you can support me in the description of this stream. I love you all. It has been an amazing Friday. And I guarantee you I'll be back next week with another amazing episode and another amazing guest. So, y'all take care. You have a great Freya's day, evening, night, whatever. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you all next week.